It stands to reason that there is no good day to find a dead body, but perhaps the very worst time to find one is on Christmas Day. A celebration of life and love stands in stark contrast to the brutal realities of life and death, but sometimes real life is much stranger and much more disturbing than fiction. This is the story of Joanna Yeates. Joanna Claire Yeates was born on the 19th of April in 1985 in Hampshire, England. She was privately educated and graduated with a degree in landscape architecture. In December of 2008, Joanna met 25-year-old architect Craig Reardon and they began dating. They moved in together the next year, opting to settle in nearby Bristol when the company that they were employed by relocated there. By October of 2010, Joanna and Greg had moved into a flat in the city's Clifton suburb, happily cohabitating with a view of starting a family. However, at approximately 8 p.m. on the 19th of December in 2010, Greg returned home to find their new apartment completely deserted. He tried to contact Joanna by phone, but he didn't have any success. Shortly after, he called her again, but her mobile phone just rang from a pocket of her coat, which was still in the flat. He also found that her purse and her keys had also been left and that their cat appeared to have been neglected. And Greg began to worry because Joanna doted on their cat, and it was extremely out of character for her to fail to care for it. Now, shortly after midnight, Greg contacted the police and Joanna's parents to report her missing. A police investigation came to the conclusion that Joanna had attended a staff Christmas party with colleagues on December the 17th, and she left around 8 that night to begin the short walk home. Joanna was seen on CCTV around 8:10. Phone records showed that she called a friend at 8:30 to arrange a meeting on Christmas Eve. The last known footage of Joanna recorded her buying a pizza around 8:40 that night. She had also bought 2 small bottles of cider. On the 21st, Greg, along with Joanna's parents, made a public appeal for her safe return at a police press conference. In another press conference that was broadcasted live on the BBC, Joanna's father commented on her disappearance. He said, "I think she was abducted after getting home to her flat. I have no idea of the circumstances of the abduction because of what was left behind. I feel sure that she would not have gone out by herself, leaving all of these things behind, and that she was taken away somewhere." Detectives retrieved a receipt, but they did not find the pizza or its packaging. Both bottles of cider were found with one of them partially consumed, and as there was no evidence of forced entry or struggle, investigators began to examine the possibility that Joanna may have known her abductor. On Christmas Day 2010, a fully clothed body was found in the snow by a couple that was walking their dogs approximately 3 miles from Joanna's flat. To the absolute heartbreak of her friends and family, the body was identified by police as that of Joanna's. Greg Reardon and the Yeates family visited the site of the discovery on the 27th of December. David said that the family had been told to prepare for the worst and expressed relief that his daughter's body had been recovered. Shortly after 7 a.m. on December 30th, Christopher Jeffries, Joanna's landlord who lived in the same building, was arrested on suspicion of her murder. But on the 4th of March 2011, after a very thorough investigation, police stated that he was no longer a suspect. He went on to win an undisclosed sum in libel damages for defamatory news articles published following his arrest. In January of 2011, a reconstruction of the case was filmed in Bristol. Snow Business, which is a local firm and had actually been involved in the production of the Harry Potter films, was contracted to reproduce the snowy conditions at the time of Joanna's disappearance. Within 24 hours of news coverage about the production, over 300 people contacted the police. Now, on the morning of January the 20th, police arrested 32-year-old engineer Vincent Tabak. He lived with his girlfriend in the flat right next door to Joanna. But authorities declined to reveal additional details while the suspect was being interrogated due to the concerns over controversial media coverage. Vincent's arrest followed an anonymous tip from a female caller who I believe was his girlfriend, and she called shortly after a televised appeal by Joanna's parents on Crime Watch. Their road was now closed by police while scaffolding was constructed around Joanna's home and the officers sealed off Tabak's adjacent flat. Investigators also searched the nearby townhouse of a friend where Tabak was believed to have been staying about a mile away. Vincent Tabak had previously been ruled out as a suspect during an earlier stage of the investigation, and he had returned to Britain from a holiday visit to his family in the Netherlands. The trial of Vincent Tabak started on October the 4th in 2011 at Bristol Crown Court, and he pleaded guilty to manslaughter, but he denied that he murdered Joanna. The prosecution's case was that Tabak had strangled her within minutes of her arriving home using sufficient force to kill her. The prosecutor stated that Vincent Tabak, who was around a foot taller than Joanna, had used his height and build to overpower her, and he pinned her to the floor by her wrists, and that she had suffered more than 40 separate injuries to her head, neck, torso, and arms during the struggle. These injuries included cuts, bruises, and a fractured nose. The court heard that the struggle was lengthy and that her death would have been slow and painful. Evidence was presented that Tabak had tried to conceal the crime by disposing of her body. Samples found behind the knees of her jeans indicated that she may have been held by the legs as she was carried and that fibers had come in contact with Tabak's coat and his car. Bloodstains were found on a wall that overlooked a quarry that was close to where Joanna was found. The prosecution also said that Tabak attempted to implicate the landlord, Chris Jeffries, for the murder during the police investigation, and that in the days following Joanna's death, he had made internet searches for topics that included the length of time that a body takes to decompose and the dates of trash collections in the Clifton area. In his defense, Tabak claimed that the killing had not been sexually motivated and told the court that he had killed Joanna while trying to silence her after she screamed when he tried to kiss her. He claimed that Joanna had made a flirty comment and invited him to drink with her, but he denied suggestions of a struggle, claiming to have held Joanna by the neck with only minimum force for about 20 seconds. He told the court that after he dumped her body, he was in a state of panic. The jury was set to deliberate on October the 26th, and they returned with a verdict 2 days later. On October the 28th in 2011, Vincent Tabak was found guilty of Joanna Yeates' murder. He was given life with a minimum term of 20 years.